Thanks for joining me, Honorable.
Welcome.
Well, we are meant to understand that it is indeed that yesterday some of you did succumb to the position of the Central Executive Committee of the NRM and the NRM Caucus to leave the race for the incumbent Deputy Speaker to tussle it out with the independent candidates who are eyeing that position. True or false?
What came out yesterday was an outcome in terms of SEC recommending to Caucus, giving justifications or reasons as to why they did so. So, in the wisdom of the Central Executive Committee, they recommended for the status quo. And the national chairperson of the party, the president of the republic, explained, giving justification. One was that SEC observed that what was already ongoing, especially for the position of speaker, between the current speaker and deputy speaker, who expressed interest for the same position, both of them, was already causing division within the current membership of the new MPs of NRM.
What does this mean to the internal democracy within the party?
Fortunately, when you subject yourself to a process that is either or, you must be able to welcome the outcome. Because even for us who were about 6 or 7 who had expressed interest, only one of us, in the event that the Central Executive Committee had recommended for us to go in for an election. In between Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga and Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, if SEC had recommended for an election, that means one would win, the other one would lose. So we subjected ourselves to a process that we knew it is either or. You know, in politics, it's not like football where there is a draw.
But the fact
there's
that
either a winner and the rest are losers.
All what you are putting forward as arguments are not in any way in consonant with what the NRM Party Constitution says. What you did or what you were subjected to was ideas of individuals who think that if these young men who have expressed interest allow them to vie for the position, it's going to cause some cracks within the party. But that's not how the party should be run.
This was an idea discussed by one of the fundamental organs of the party, the Central Executive Committee. Fortunately, this committee is already entrenched in our rules of procedure. And it is composed of 30 eminent and historical, including revolutionary members of the party.
And that's where you go wrong. When you start believing in revolutionary, you are setting a wrong precedent.
Elected by members who support NRM from within structures that were generated from all districts of Uganda. They never put themselves there. They were elected to be there. So I strongly believe when they sit, internalize, look at the advantages and disadvantages, and they eventually recommend to another organ, the NRM Parliamentary Caucus, that for us we sat as a smaller group. We were only 30. But now we are recommending to you in your bigger group of about 300 members of parliament elect on the ticket of NRM. And this is our humble view. What do you say?
Which was an individual opinion, not backed up by law.
It wasn't. It is backed up, as I stated, by these written rules. Remember in 2014, the NRM Parliamentary Caucus adopted the rules of procedure, which was equally approved by the Central Executive Committee. We have been operating without the rules of procedure. But from 2014 to date, we have clear rules that are guiding each and everything that transpires within the NRM Parliamentary Caucus. And that is why I was saying we subjected ourselves into that process.
If I can get your honest opinion on this matter, don't you think that the party you are serving is setting a wrong precedent, setting a legacy that is likely to cost the future leadership of the party? Because the moment you do not open up doors for young, vibrant leaders in the party to compete for bigger positions, you are putting a party on a molten rock that is likely to erupt any time. Because we have seen it in the past. It has affected leadership in the NRM, whereby all members for the last 30 years think that President Museveni is the only best candidate. And they have ring-fenced that position until he says that I'm tired. But does that mean that there is no any good person within the NRM who can make it better than Museveni? We have seen it with the second. It was the same issue, saying let him first serve for 10 years, then Kadaga takes on. Kadaga comes on and says that even me, I'm supposed to first serve for 10 years. But is that what the party constitution of the NRM says? I think the party is setting a wrong precedent. We saw it in the case of Rwawogo. Young man, vibrant, want to compete, and a decision comes from SEC, you overrule the other interests of party members. I think it's a wrong precedent that as young members within the party, young leaders and vibrant, need to address.
You have definitely raised a fundamental point. But unfortunately, the NRM is not inventing a wheel. We normally act on practices all over. African National Congress, ANC, the CCM of Tanzania, to mention but a few. There is normally an internal process that must end up into a product. Whether the product is through consensus, whether the product is through an election, but internally, that process must exist. Just like in a family. Debates are normally held. This child needs a pair of shoes, the other one needs the father to buy a bicycle. So at the end of the day, the family must decide on what is important for the family. Is it a pair of shoes for the kid or a bicycle for the family? So what transpired? To me, you are talking about the young versus the old in NRM.
Yeah, you need to build institutions. You need to nurture leaders.
I entirely agree with you. I entirely agree with you. And I also want to believe, let me now declare my interest. Much as I speak for the party, but I was also a candidate, a prospective candidate.
Sure.
I appeared before the Central Executive Committee. I don't want to blow my own trumpet. But if results of prospective candidates who were interviewed or vetted by the Central Executive Committee could be released, I believe for the position of Deputy Speaker, I would be one of the best. But we sent on behalf of the young people within NRM a political message that you people look. This political party is a multi-layered political organization. Its leadership at all levels must have that reflection towards 11 players versus 11.
The NRM constitution that mandates somebody to serve for 2 terms on a dictatorial kind of arrangement that other members should not compete for position X because Mr. X or Madam X hasn't completed his 2nd term.
It is an entrenched provision in the NRM Constitution. And that provision emphasizes 2 fundamental points when it comes to internal democracy. One is the question of consensus. We sit as a family. We talk, we debate, we discuss. If consensus can be generated on a particular subject matter, we accept and agree and take a decision by consensus.
But Honorable David, do you need the second return of God for you to know that the precedent that is now being set by your own party is wrong?
You know, at times it is good to make mistake. When you make a mistake, that is where you learn from.
You made it 2011.
You get it?
You have repeated the same mistake. And I know young leaders like you in the party, you have reservation about it.
To you, it is a mistake. But to me, when I look through the written rules...
But don't you have reservation about it?
I do not. I do not. Unfortunately, I do not. Because, let me repeat again, when you subject yourself into a process, and you know after stage 1, I'm going to stage B. After stage 2, it is stage 3. Stage 3 will either make me cross to stage 4, or I will end there. And that is it.
Well, thanks, Honorable David Obua, for joining us on this interactive news segment where we discuss issues that affect the people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.